Well, early voting begins a week from today in the Democratic-Republican Party primaries. Good morning to the leading Democrat in the race for governor, former Congressman Beto O'Rourke. We also have invited Governor Abbott to join us in the future. So you almost beat Ted Cruz for Senate. You were kind of an early dropout in the race for president. When you decided to do this, did you fear being labeled a three-time loser?
I don't fear anything at all. You know, I'm so encouraged by what the people of Texas are doing right now and what we all want, which is a change and something better. For example, listen to folks across North Texas about what they experienced last year during the electricity grid failure and the fact that they're now paying 20 to 50 bucks more per utility bill to clean up the mess that Greg Abbott and others caused. We know that we should be able to keep the lights on here in Texas, in the energy capital of America, and do those things that bring people together, Republicans and Democrats, things like focusing on great public schools, creating better jobs, and expanding Medicaid so more people can get care. So this won't be about a single person or even a political party. This will be about what is best for all of the people of Texas. And that gives me encouragement about our prospects in this race.
You've given Republicans and some gun-owning Democrats, though, in Texas, plenty of ammunition, if you'll excuse the term, with your comment, and I quote, "Hell yes, we are going to take your AR-15. And I know that's an issue that at the time hit very close to home after a mass shooting in El Paso. But is that going to sell in Texas because your words will be used against you?
We are going to defend the Second Amendment in the state of Texas, and we're going to do a better job of protecting the lives of our fellow Texans. There is a lot of common ground on this issue, given the fact that we have such a long, proud tradition of responsible gun ownership. I'm no different. I grew up in a home where we were taught how to use a gun and the responsibility of owning that gun. And so when Republicans and Democrats can come together on things like universal background checks and safe storage laws, not only will we defend that Second Amendment and protect the lives of our fellow Texans, but we'll build upon that tradition of responsible gun ownership. I think this is an issue that we can actually bring people together on.
The negative ads are already running here in Texas. Here is one of the first out of the gate.
Number one, the Texas economy under Governor Greg Abbott. But Biden and Beto would destroy it all. Open borders, crushing taxes, the Green New Deal.
Okay. Is it fair to tie you to Joe Biden at the hip? The moment you decided to run for governor, you knew that picture and that video would resurface. Will Joe Biden be joining you on the campaign trail?
You know, if I were Greg Abbott, I would be trying to distract you and the people of Texas as well, given the fact that I couldn't keep the lights on, that I'm charging you 20 to 50 bucks more per utility bill at a time of already rising inflation, 80,000 Texans dead and counting because he bungled the response to COVID.
That's a non-answer. Will Joe Biden be campaigning with and for you?
No. Greg Abbott has presided over the most extreme fringe legislative session in Texas history, banning abortion, reproductive health care access, and putting a $10,000 bounty on the head of anyone who tries to help anyone else make their own decisions about their own body. The people of Texas want a change, and this campaign is going to make sure that they get one.
If you believe the polls, and I know the standard answer for anybody running for anything is the only one that counts is on election day. But if you believe the polls, you're way behind Greg Abbott. What do you have to do to move the needle and make this a real contest?
There has not been a race that I've been in for City Council in El Paso or United States Congress, which we won both of, where we haven't started behind. When we ran against Ted Cruz, there was no one who gave us any shot in the world to do this. And yet we produced the largest voter turnout in Texas history since 1970. And we helped to elect a lot of good Democrats, including Colin Allred in North Texas, who replaced Republicans in positions of public trust. We are building upon what we did in 2018. More than 44,000 people have gone to betofortexas.com to sign up and volunteer with this campaign. We're going to win this with and for the people of Texas.
Ted Cruz was a different kind of animal to run against. He's not, no matter where you are on the issues, he's not the most likable guy. He was a pretty easy target, and a lot of people say that's why you came so close. Is Greg Abbott that unlikable? And I know, again, I know that every candidate surrounds him or herself with people who tell him, you're the guy, you're the one, you're going to win. Is somebody whispering in your ear that any advice along those lines that Abbott's not Cruz?
You know, I met a school teacher in Louisville yesterday. Her name's Nicole. Her home flooded when her pipes burst because Abbott couldn't make sure that the grid worked. $24,000 was her out-of-pocket cost to clean up her house. She wants a change right now. There are a lot of people across the state of Texas who've been hurt by this governor, whether it was the grid, the pandemic response, the attack on women, this permitless carry bill that law enforcement asked him not to pass because more cops and sheriff's deputies have been shot and gunned down in the state of Texas than any other state. And this makes their jobs that much more dangerous and harder to do. His inability to focus on world-class public schools and creating better jobs in the state of Texas. Yeah, people want a change. And by campaigning everywhere across this state, here in Dallas today, Denton yesterday, we're going to be in Rains County and Tyler, Texas, over the next 2 days. We're going to make sure that we give the folks of Texas a better alternative, the change that we deserve, that we want, and is possible if we turn out and vote in this election.
All right, let the campaign begin. Well, it already is well underway. Again, early voting beginning 1 week from today in the Democratic and Republican primaries. By the way, we also reached out to Governor Abbott's campaign to invite him to join us at some point. Beto O'Rourke, thank you very much.
Thank you.